Hi, my name is Ben Scow. I work for Utah State University Extension in Washington County, so the southern part of the state. We're going to be going over peach trees today and fruit trees in general. So we're going to talk about dormant oil, what it is, why we use it, and how to apply it. So dormant oil is a product that it's used organically or commercially. It's an all-around good product to use every spring. It's something that we strongly encourage fruit tree owners to use. So what it does is, the idea with dormant oil is it is a smotherer. So something that we put on the trees to smother insect eggs that have overwintered through the winter time. Fall is usually when they're laid, the eggs are laid. They overwinter in the buds, and then in the spring when they're exposed a little bit more, we will spray them and spray them with this oil. We coat the trees really well, top to bottom, to find any eggs that we can, and it helps us reduce a lot of insect pests. Specifically, aphids and mites are the two insects that we see a lot of control with this product. So if you have a lot of aphid problems, which a lot of fruit tree owners do, this is an excellent product to use every year. Application time is going to be in the spring. So the idea is the insects have come in the fall at the end of their life cycle, usually like aphids and mites, as we mentioned, but they will lay their eggs in the buds and the cracks of the buds and the fruiting structures as the leaves are starting to fall off, and then as the temperatures drop, the buds get sucked in a little bit and they cause a lot of protection for those eggs. So spraying during the winter time usually isn't ideal. It's not going to hurt the trees if you put your dormant oil on too early. The better time is when the buds start to swell. So once it starts to warm up, the sap starts to run from the roots up into the canopies a little bit more, and those buds will start to swell and get larger, and it pushes those eggs that were sucked in the fall, it exposes them, so you can now spray them with oil and smother them. So that's the idea of dormant oil. It's very inexpensive. It's a great product to use. You can find it at almost any nursery or fruit tree stores, pesticide applicator places. And there's a lot of different types. So the one we're using, this one's made by Bonide, but there's a lot of different ones. There are different active ingredients in them. This one has mineral oil in it, but there's some that have canola oil in them. There's a lot of different products, and all of them work equally as well. This is just the one that I found. It was the only one that they had at our nursery, so that's the one that I grabbed. And they all have, one thing to do when you're spraying is on the back of all of your pesticide labels, they have instructions on, especially for peaches, which is what we're spraying. It has a recommendation dosage of 2.5 to 7.5 tablespoons of oil per 1 gallon of water. So that's something that we need to keep in mind when we're looking at products. This is one you can open the labels at the store, see what it controls, see what fruit trees it's labeled for, and then at the very back it will tell you the type of we call it PPE, personal protective equipment, that you're supposed to wear while you're using these products. There's different ways that you can actually apply it. This is my favorite one. So you can get a hose end sprayer, and I like to get one that has a dial on it that you can adjust the dosage. So that one said that we needed to have between 2.5 and 7.5 tablespoons per gallon. This one has a nice little meter on top of it that I can adjust that. I'm going to do 6 tablespoons per gallon, so it's a little bit on the heavier side. I can put that product in the hopper here, and then it wicks it out into 1 gallon of water is what this is rated for. So it's nice. I can put all the product in there. When I'm done with it, I can dump the product back into the container, clean this out and put it away, and I'm good to go for the next time. One word of caution with these: if you're going to use a herbicide, make sure that you have one of these designated for herbicides and one designated for insecticides. Otherwise, if you cross-contaminate, and if you spray this with my dormant oil that I just sprayed 2,4-D in last week on my dandelions, you're going to have some contaminants in it, and you're going to spray that on your tree, and it's not going to like it or do well. So if you're going to have 2 of them, if you're going to spray weeds as well, get one right on it for weeds, the other one right on it for insects or for fruit trees. Okay, so for the hose end sprayers, the hopper on the bottom comes off, just unscrews, and then we have the product here. We can just dump the whole bottle in if we wanted to. If we're just doing 1 or 2 trees, we might just do half of it, and once we're done spraying, we can take this back off and dump it back in. Anytime that you're going to handle product though too, make sure that you wear your PPE, your personal protective equipment. So for this label, It wants me to wear chemical or resistant gloves. So I've got my gloves on, long sleeves, long pants, shoes, socks. It doesn't mention eye protection or a hat, but I always like to wear eye protection and a hat. It's something that's optional. You don't have to wear it according to the label, but never hurts. Okay, so I've got the water onto the hose. So it stopped right here. It has a little on-off switch that I can turn on and off. And it also, most of these hose end sprayers have an adjustable top on it, so I can pick different settings. I can have it come out as a kind of a shower setting. For these sprays, it's best to use a fan so it comes out flat and you can go up and down and hit the entire tree. So for timing, we talked about spraying it in the springtime, but this is actually going to be late winter, right before these come out of dormancy all the way. So you can tell on this tree, the buds have swollen, they're really round. It would actually be a little bit better if we waited another week and sprayed, just because these will be, you can start to see the pink showing where the blossoms are starting to come out. So that's on a peach. If you're doing an apricot or cherry or apple, they're going to be white blossoms, so you're going to look for white on the tips of those. But for a peach, it's going to be pink. So right when you can start seeing that pink, right before they pop and open, that's the best time to spray. That's when they've swollen up to their maximum amount. And that's when you'd want to spray. But it's not going to hurt to spray them at this point. So we're going to go ahead and spray this one just to show you how to do it. But if you have a choice, you can wait a little bit longer right before they open, and that's the best time to spray. But we're going to start kind of at the bottom, work our way up, go around. If I get to a point where I can't spray anymore, I can turn it off, readjust, and spray again. Okay, so we just barely got everything finished on the tree. Some things to keep in mind when you're spraying is to watch the weather. If you're gonna have a rainstorm within the next 24 hours, don't spray. Wait until the storm is passed and make sure that it doesn't have a chance to get washed off. It needs at least about 24 hours. At least according to this label, every oil is a little bit different, but this one recommends 24 hours to let it dry and do its thing before we have a rain event. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you're putting this on. Try and make sure you don't catch a rainstorm right after. Yeah, the other thing is sometimes people will put this on really early, or they'll put it on through the winter time. This is one that you can put on multiple times through the winter time. It's most effective at this point, right before spring, or as we're going into spring. You can put it on multiple times, but it's most effective as the buds have swollen up. And it's hard in Utah to give you like a perfect day to put this on, because our weather changes so much from year to year. So if you're able to go out and watch the buds on your fruit trees, you can get a better idea of when the perfect time is to spray those. It's usually not a date, because it can vary as much as a month sometimes with our crazy weather in Utah. So watch the buds. If they're just about to pop, go ahead and spray them. If you can tell they've swollen really well and they're about to that point, you can also spray them at that point if it's going to be rainy for the next week or so.